Hey everyone, welcome. It's our final week of March. This month went by so fast, but I'm here with my fourth and final guest, at least for now. Hopefully, we'll be doing more of these in the future. Meg Duke, she is also an LCSW. She has a coaching practice as well, and she is currently living down in Texas, just relocated down there. She has two kids, she's married, and she's also an incredible craftswoman. I don't know the right term for it, but she can make anything out of anything. You need her. She's the one to go to. She's also a dear friend. I've known her for many years. I think that Laura was the longest of the four, but all these ladies I've had in my orbit for long time have probably too many stories on me. We don't even need to get into all of those. But I just want to say thank you so much for her being here today. And we're going to talk a little bit about her business, her journey, what she's doing, and also something we're collabing on together that you guys can all be a part of. We'll let you know at the end. So welcome, Meg.
Thank you. What a treat to be here.
I would love to just start right in. What sort of inspired you to start your business? What are you up to? Give us a little bit of background on that, what that journey has been like.
So it's been really interesting, and I'm like a little hesitant to say a part of this story, but I think it's the most authentic piece of it. Like the first part, of course, I just wanted to be in control of my own schedule. I've got two kids and my husband travels for work. He's literally going to Italy, like first world problems, for 9 days next month. Also jealousy, but in the good way. Like I'm
Yeah,
so happy for you, and also take me with you.
yeah,
And so I wanted to be able to be in a space where if he's gone or he's getting up early, that I'm still able to focus on myself. So because I can take my kids to school in the morning, I have overcome the parenting guilt of dropping them off and coming home and working out and showering and getting ready for my clients. And certainly in an agency, I wouldn't have the luxury of being able to start at the time that I do.
yeah.
And I'm also able to end at the time that I do. Because I like yesterday, I took a client almost right up until I had to go get the kids, and it was fine, and life happens and everything's okay. And I just sat in that moment thinking, like, I'm so grateful that this is not my everyday, that I don't
Yeah.
have to, we're leaving for a wedding this week. And so I took a late client to make up for Thursday. And so that really, the scheduling piece for me was really a part of it. Certainly, I mean, we could spend an entire episode of a show talking about the inequity of mental health providers and how we don't make enough money. And certainly, I know when I was first getting into the business, the cut that people take, that's a really great thing to get your book going. It's a great thing to get your feet underneath of you in private practice. And some people are more equitable than others in the percent that they take. And that was a consideration for me as well, is how much money to be able to
Like in
do
a
that.
group practice.
In a group practice or
Hmm.
in like if you're getting referrals from somebody,
Hmm.
certainly consideration. I've got two kids. They were in Montessori school in Kansas, and they're in a school that costs just the same amount here. And so that financial component as well. And I sit in a place of privilege where my husband has a 9 to 5 that pays well, and he was able to support me as I was going through all those startup costs. So
Yeah.
it's also a consideration. And the part for me that I'm like, do I tell people this? But my niche, of course, is perinatal, but then also I'm really focusing on focus, because so many people that I'm working with, whether it's perinatal or not, are just talking about distractibility, like technology. Quarantine did no one any favors.
Yeah.
Um, all of that. And for me, I was diagnosed with ADHD in 94. I promise I'm going somewhere with this about why I started my business. Listener, hang on, I'm going. But I've never been diagnosed with oppositional defiant disorder, but I definitely exhibit a number of those traits to this day at 38. And even yesterday, I had a girlfriend who was talking about just some of the politics of her office, and she's a vice president of such and such at a really fancy company. And even her boss's boss is, so, and I was like, this is why I work by myself, because
Yeah.
I would have said, that's not how it went. I'm not falling on a sword for
Yeah.
you. You
Yeah.
told me to do that. And we process that as girlfriends do. And I was like, that's why. So that's another thing too, is that like, I really struggle again in social work spaces where the funding is not there. We're underpaying our team. We're overworking them. Something is not clinically appropriate. We're kicking somebody out of services because insurance won't pay.
Yeah.
And I just kept going toe to toe with people in those situations. And I sit in a place of privilege again, where it's like, insurance companies are happy to let me see people once a week, and I send them my little notes and they send me my little cash, and go
Yeah.
team.
Yeah.
So that really was a consideration for me as well, where I'm just in a space where I don't have to play with office politics anymore. And that's nice for me.
It is such a blessing to not have to do that. I too, as I own my own businesses, will never work for anyone again if I don't have to for any crazy reason, because it is very liberating to make your own schedule. And if you have an issue with HR, it's yourself and you can just be mad at you. So I can, like, it's like just keeping up with my own weaknesses. But I
Yeah.
love that you sort of took a model that maybe the world would tell us like this is how it is, and you were able to say, actually, no, that doesn't work for me. So
Mhm.
what else can I do and how can I make that work for me? And I think that sometimes we forget we're allowed to do that.
We do.
And it doesn't work for everyone. And I respect that everyone has their own
We
areas
do.
and
Yes.
spaces, but I think that there's a version of that that is available to everybody. Like this isn't working. So like what needs to shift? How can I get creative? I think sometimes
Mhm.
we stay too tight in these boxes that someone else made for us that we don't
Yeah.
fit in, like a star and a square, like all squished in, right? Like you need the star-shaped hole to get into that. That's where
Yes.
you belong. And maybe it's not the most perfect exact fit, but I do think that if you are making moves and thinking ahead and thinking in this creative way, that eventually it can get to like a pretty perfect fit and still meet the needs of your
Yeah.
family, loved ones, other folks in your world, other duties and responsibilities. So that's such a cool example that you gave of how that worked for you, right? Like yours is not
Well,
going to be
and
for everyone else,
I was
but it worked
also
for
very fortunate, which I will get to it, but I'm very fortunate again, like when I was starting, you were working for a part-time agency,
you. Hmm.
virtual, very low microman, like the opposite of micromanaging. It's basically like we checked in once a quarter, like, you good? I'm good.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
But that was able to help me to get my business afloat as well. And so I do encourage everybody to think like, what are the piecemeal is maybe not the right word. Maybe that's not the sexy word or the most intelligent word to use, but like, what are the little things that you can do to get to the space where you want to do? And like, how can you grind a little extra up top? Again, rest is productive, another conversation, but how do you do those things to
Yeah.
get to that place? It's not like, I mean, I graduated in 2013 and I didn't go full-time private practice until 2021, end of October 2021. So,
Yeah.
and I would have loved to have gone I'd have loved to have dropped a hat in 2016 when I passed my LCSW and been like, okay, bye.
Right.
So
But that
it's
always
an
makes
evolution and it's a process and it's definitely not overnight for sure.
right. And what would you say might have been one significant challenge that you did face that you feel really proud about overcoming, or you think could be a good lesson or encouragement for
Mhm.
someone else who might be thinking or facing a similar challenge?
Well, I mean, so many come to mind right now. I'm like, which is the one that's the most meaningful and the most applicable? Because of course, certainly for like therapists, but I know not everyone that's listening is a therapist, but those of you
Mhm.
who want to start your own business or branch off and do something outside of what's making you happy or not happy at work, because I do acknowledge like, this is not a work conversation. I don't know, it's becoming one, but like how to be in a space where you recognize, I mean, it's so cliche, but life is so short. And I have so many clients who come to me and they're like, I'm so miserable from 8 to 5. And then I can't sleep because I can't compartmentalize and like get rid of that. And then so then I'm exhausted. So then I show up the next day and I'm exhausted and trying to find the things that help us to think. And again, what a place of privilege, because a lot of things, there's that paper ceiling, like you have to have, excuse me, a degree for something, you have to have
Mhm.
training. And even for those of us in social work, like I'd love to be EMDR certified, but that's a solid $1,000 at the front door. And then you talk about
And a
everything
lot
else
of time.
and time, like you're
Yeah.
going to do this amazing Pilates training, which I'm so pumped for. And thank goodness for virtual sessions because I will be joining. That costs money and all of that.
Yeah.
So that really that's been the biggest struggle. It continues to be a struggle. The Powerball right now is at like $988 million, which like, can you imagine overnight billionaire? I understand taxes, but still. And that's the joke that we've all been making right now is like, money does not solve problems, but I literally can't imagine like even I feel like I'm talking too much. This is going to be a very long episode. You can welcome to cut out whatever you want. But we watched some of the Taylor Swift show this week, the live show this weekend with some girlfriends. And my sweet husband, who I didn't know would know this, was like, do you know that Taylor Swift gave $200,000 to each one of her truck drivers after the US tour? And I was like, first of all, love you for knowing that. Second of all, I didn't know that. And I would
Mhm.
love to be able to be that generous. I did the math, like 0.0002% of her income is $200,000. Like, even that would change my life. And so I'm constantly stressed about finances as well. And so that is something that's always been the thing. Like I said
Yeah.
earlier, if I could have checked the Texas website, seen that C behind my name, and immediately put my 2 weeks notice in and started right away. But you have to build a book. And if
Yep.
you're not
Yep.
booked, then you're not making money. And even before that was even before I had children,
Yeah.
that just wasn't an option. And so it's been, I don't want to say, I don't like pick your brain energy. Like, if you're going to reach out to somebody, offer them money, offer them to pay for their intellectual and emotional labor. But I've been really lucky to be able to lean on you, of course, friends that I've met through you, people I've met through other professional contacts who have ideas, suggestions, helped me to niche down, helped me to work on marketing. They certainly don't teach us marketing in social work school. I still am not great at the viral marketing piece of it, but just being able to get to those spaces. And so being able to ask people who are around you, who've been around me, has been something that's been able to help me
Yeah.
to get to the space.
Yeah. So definitely that challenge of what my coaching mentor always says, like, if you're not getting paid for it, it's just a really expensive hobby. So some of us can maybe afford those, but how to make the things we really love be lucrative, because unfortunately we need money to live,
Yeah,
and the world is only getting more expensive. But like, how to also not get too caught up in then being in something you hate just to survive, because surviving is not thriving. And
right.
this journey is going to look a bit different for everyone, but I think it's that reminder of, but what if, what else could be there, how else can I get creative? And like you said, asking for support, thinking of community. We talked a lot about connection earlier this month, and how important it is to see the people in your life as assets and resources, not necessarily competition or someone to be like wary of or fight against. And how, when we are generous with our time, and obviously all of this is reasonable, but generally speaking, like, we're not trying to hold the secrets or be cagey or charge $800 for the thing, that
Yeah,
look how much it can help everyone. Because I do think there's enough room at the table and enough different needs that a lot of different people, no one's like stealing your market,
yeah.
because everyone wants a different type of sweatshirt, everyone wants a different type of coaching, everyone wants a different therapy, everyone needs a different type of mug. Like, there is enough consumers to go around.
Yeah.
So
Well,
how
I
would
love that. I love, you have been so good about, like, women empower women. And like, that's literally the tagline for our accountability crew, which we will get to. So I really love the idea of the abundance mindset. And I have been that's a really, I should have just started there, honestly, is the abundance mindset versus the scarcity mindset. That's been a problem for me, a sticking point for me, let's say, historically. And I've really gotten into that space where it's like, it's okay that other people are doing the same thing you are. It's okay that, like, ask those people for help, ask people for guidance, share the things that I'm happy. I love getting to share the things that I know, and people come to me and ask me, like, what are you doing? I'm like,
yeah,
oh, let me tell you. Also,
yeah.
if you don't mind, I'm going to show this too. I literally have this sitting next to my desk. It's Carol Dweck's book called Mindset, and I'm obsessed with it. And like, it's just dripping with ink from all of my notes. Encourage everybody to read it, but also it's talking about, basically it's talking about either fixed mindset or a growth mindset, and really getting
Mhm.
into space, like, you know, we're not like, yes, I think some things are a little more fixed than others. Like, do you have an amazing singing voice? Some people are just
Just
Kelly
don't.
Clarkson, Whitney Houston.
Yeah.
Some people are Celine Dion, and they still work at it. Like, if I could, Celine Dion didn't speak for a year to retrain her instrument, like, read her
Mhm.
biography. Okay.
Mhm.
Like, genuinely. So
Mhm.
even the Celine Dions of the world, who are part of the Holy Trinity, were not born, but Celine Dion was born with a leg up
Yeah.
on me for sure.
Yeah.
But we can always try to get better at things. And that's one of the things I'm most proud about in my parenting, is that my kids, when they say they can't do it, they say, I can't do it yet. And that yet piece is really important to me, so
Awesome.
that they know, like, I can't reach the sink yet. I can't tie my shoe yet. Certain things maybe they never will be able to do, but I love
Yeah.
the idea of keeping that growth mindset. And that's
Yeah.
my big encouragement for people in this conversation, is like, women supporting women, abundance mindset, growth mindset. It does not hurt anybody to have your big hairy goals. That's just somewhere we can keep going toward.
Yeah. I think that's awesome. And do we want to talk a little bit about what we're doing, of how we're going to
Yes.
be specifically
Yes.
empowering some women
Yeah.
through our next Q2 Accountability Krewe?
Yes. It has been, you had this beautiful idea. You graciously asked me to join. I have chills. It's been such a dream. Like, I love collaboration. I miss group work. So we've had this beautiful group of people in the first quarter where we've talked about accountability, because it's not about New Year's resolution, which obviously at this point we're into March, everyone knows that's your theme of the month, but it's about intentional, meaningful, specific, and small changes. And it really, obviously New Year's Eve is helpful, and we've got these things, and then we kind of lose some of the fire. Like, I guess, I don't know if it's still a thing, but it used to be a thing where like gym memberships would always go up at the end of December, and it'd be impossible to get an elliptical machine in January. And then people would be like, but just wait till like February, everyone will die out. And that was really our energy, was like, how do we help people keep doing what they're doing? Because you keep your fire going when you're around other people who are on fire, right? And so we're really specific about, we called it the Accountability Krewe. That's with a K, because New Orleans, of course. And then like we've gone through the vision board, the ideas, the specific and measurable goals, all of the things that are really helpful to make it feel less nebulous, to make it feel like, okay, I just need to do this one thing today, this week, realistically. And so now we're really excited because we're ramping up into Q2, and we've got people from Q1 who are joining. We've got space for people to join Q2. It doesn't matter that you weren't in Q1. We'll catch you up, or we'll start you there, and we'll keep going together. And I leave those conversations. That's my word always. I'm so energized every single time. It's not even my session, but it's just, I'm so energized every time I leave.
And we've already seen so many big things happen with the women in our first quarter group. And I think that it's nothing we've done that's magical. It's a dedicated space that you can give yourself, that we all deserve. But if you have to call it under that it's going to be productive for someone else or help you out in other ways, then like use that. But it's just a dedicated space, 1 hour every other week. It'll be from April till June. We start April 10th, Wednesdays, 1 p.m. Eastern time. No, 11 a.m. Eastern time.
11 a.m. Eastern time.
1 p.m.
It used to be 1 p.m. on Friday.
And if you want more information, reply to my email. I also have down below, you can click to register, email me, all of that. But it's a really exciting space. And I think it's just another iteration of how to use that abundance mindset, how one person's journey can encourage another person's, how we can, help pull